Controversy in the NBA. Legal news. Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups has been charged in an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia. He has been arrested this morning. In addition to that, that's not the only. Terry Rozier has also been arrested as part of a gambling inquiry. The FBI will speak at 10 a.m. We will keep you updated. Dan, right out of the gates, your initial reaction to this breaking news this morning?
I think we've been waiting for the other shoe to drop on the Terry Rozier investigation for quite some time. There had been some uncertainty over whether he'd been exonerated or cleared or was just no longer a person of interest at the moment. But that was sort of on the back burner simmering. And I think we'd been wondering when we'd get some clarity on that. I don't know that anybody anticipated that Chauncey Billups' name would come into this situation. I'm imagining that the Portland Trail Blazers, who extended the contract of Chauncey Billups, did not anticipate that when they inked him to a new deal this summer, coming off of their season opener last night. It's, I think, a breathtaking and bracing news bulletin this morning. And I think the idea that you're looking at multiple reports saying that these are separate but related incidents cases that are being pursued simultaneously. I think it also invites a question about I think it was 4 months ago, Gilbert Arenas being arrested in what was reported as a high stakes illegal poker operation as well. To what degree are these things connected? We don't know. We're going to hear more from the FBI later this morning. But my initial reaction is we've heard a few names, and I have to wonder how many more we might wind up hearing before all's said and done.
You mentioned another case that's brought up here. We've also heard potential reports that Malik Beasley, we heard some allegations coming out this past summer. How could this be related as well from what we know?
Yeah, I mean, what the issue is what we don't know, right? I mean, what we've seen is it seems to be the tip of the iceberg, and then the question is just like how far down and how widespread. And so we've had, over the course of the past couple of years, there was the Jonte Porter investigation that led to his lifetime ban from the NBA. We had the Malik Beasley investigation, which resulted in not no immediate finding of fact, but certainly scuttled his summer and his plans, and then raised questions about what his future in the league would look like. There was the Gilbert Arenas situation earlier this summer, and now we have this. It sort of beggars belief that these things are all discrete, separate entities. I think the indication from the initial reporting that these are the cases we're talking about this morning involving Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, and former Cleveland Cavaliers player and assistant coach Damon Jones, that these are separate but related inquiries, leads you to imagine that the Beasley case could be involved in this. But yeah, without more information directly from the principals involved, we don't know that for sure at this point. We're left with a lot of space to kind of fill and dots to connect on our own, and hopefully more information will help us do that a little more cleanly soon.
Dan, in full transparency, when we started the show, I said every time guardrails work, I'm reminded that it's great that we have guardrails. Like, I think it's actually a success story every time we find somebody that's breaking the rules, because it means, hey, systems are in place. But I'm also troubled by the fact that all indications have been that the NBA kind of said, hey, nothing to see here. And then the FBI's coming in saying, but wait, there is something. So at some point, does the NBA have to come out and be more transparent in what their investigation looks like to calm down all the conspiracy theorists that are going to simply say the game is constantly rigged?
I think I'm of two minds about that. I think one, just based on the way that Adam Silver and the league office have operated since he's been in control of the league, we simply haven't seen them rush to judgment or rush to produce finding of fact without having all their T's crossed and I's dotted in any instance, right? They whether it's something as perhaps not major legal issue as Kawhi Leonard and the aspiration tree planting saga and the no-show job thing, or more significant things in terms of, domestic violence or partner violence issues, or, illegal gambling. The league office primary party line has generally been, we believe in due process. We believe in performing thorough investigations. We believe in allowing law enforcement to do its work and then, picking up the trail after that. So I imagine that the league's response from this will be similar. We'll say, we start from a first principle of we don't rush, because we could, stumble over something, break something that you can't fix if you do that. So the FBI leading the dance here. The NBA has, I think it's instructive that after all of the different steps in the Malik Beasley issue this summer, the league did not take any sort of firm stance saying he's not going to be able to be on a roster. He is cleared to be on the league has kind of fallen back on that. I think that will be remain the operative principle, because if you go too far in one direction, if you make too firm a stance in one way, and then the facts as they come out reveal a different outcome, you put yourself in a potentially dangerous position. Adam Silver is at base and forever a lawyer. I don't think that he's going to necessarily rush to do that.
We know that the court of law and the court of public opinion are two very, very different things. But looking at the court of public opinion, do you feel like the strength of the integrity of the NBA is compromised?
I think that it certainly doesn't help the notion that the league saw, as many companies have, as many industries have, saw the legalization of sports gambling as a revenue faucet to turn on and let run, and in very specific ways that are like entwined in the business and presentation of the NBA. And putting that genie back in the bottle is not particularly easy. I think we've seen downstream effects across culture, across society, of the potential danger of having a sports book in your pocket at every moment, and what that can be for people who don't see those guardrails, or perhaps are not aware of the existence of the bright lines they're not allowed to cross, or just cross them anyway. And that can be challenging and result in some really negative outcomes in a lot of directions. And so I think the point of, as Jason was saying, the guardrails on something like the Jonte Porter situation, right, where you say there was information that led you to believe there was some problematic wagering going on, that was potentially a market being manipulated. And so the league captured that, saw that, made an evaluation, did an investigation, came to a ruling, and banned a player. That's an indication of a system working. I think the multiple indications of that there's more things that need to be caught. It's certainly reasonable that would lead a consumer to just say, like, hey, is everybody doing this? How many people aren't betting on games or using inside information to gain some kind of edge or potentially enrich themselves in some other capacity? I can't blame any fan that looks at this and says something stinks. And I think you're absolutely right. Yes, the court of law is one thing. The court of public opinion is quite another. And the more stories like this that we see, I think the more it shakes the belief that what we're seeing is on the level. And once you lose that, it's really difficult to go back.
That's, I think, the hardest part. Like, we'll speak in political terms here. Like, politics always talk about eroded trust. It feels like these sorts of moments erode trust. But to be clear, gambling on the NBA is against the rules in the collective bargaining agreement. So, like, it's not like there's some rule they can put in place. What can the NBA do to fix this and stop this moving forward?
I imagine that's a conversation that's happening at Olympic Tower right now, and has been happening for quite some time. The honest answer is, when something is legal and available to everybody at the touch of a button at all times, it's not exactly easy to erect those guardrails, right? You're absolutely right. You can note that these players are contractually prohibited from gambling on their own sports, or gambling on other sports inside the building, or the different various ways that these things are prohibited. And that doesn't necessarily stop everybody. And it leads to I think a question of integrity and hypocrisy about, like, how you can say this pool of money is great for us to have coming in one way, but you can't participate in it in another. But that's why the contracts in the CBA are set up the way that they are, to make that clear, where those lines are. I don't know, is my honest answer. I don't know how the NBA walks this back. I don't know how the NBA plugs these leaks in the dam. I think the hope was, and remains, and will continue to be, this is a rounding error in terms of people, a small number that will engage in this and then put themselves in position to be caught. It becomes more difficult when now you are talking about, like, multiple former players, current players, and a coach. And now that invites questions about, I don't know, the many, many members of staff, of a team personnel that are not making millions of dollars, that might have access to similar information and might have more of an incentive to participate in some of these markets. So once you pull the thread, an awful lot starts to unravel. And once you start following the money on it, you can wind up in some awfully curious places.
Yeah, it's great work by you, and we appreciate your insight 100%. I will remind everybody, Terry Rozier, according to the internet, has made $160 million in his career. And according to the reports, this is about $13,000 that was gambled. So it just doesn't make sense. I can't make the math make sense. Dan, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your brilliance and your insight. If you hear anything else, feel free to hop back on. We'll let you get back to doing all of the digging that you can possibly do. Thanks for coming in, answering the bat phone, and making us smarter this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Dan.
Check out the big number. Obviously, Dan Devine doing great work there. I want to let you guys know, a quick update here. At 10 a.m., there will be an FBI press conference. We are going to cover that press conference live on Yahoo Sports Daily. We are going to take that press conference and give you all of the information we can possibly get you on the breaking news. If you're just tuning in, this is what we know. We know right now that Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups both have been arrested as part of separate but possibly related gambling instances in the NBA.